Hello and welcome to another episode of our Tech Talk. Here, showing what's happening in the background, what are the core developers doing and developing for us. If you like this format in the show, then please give us a like, uh, make some comments. This helps the project. The algorithm can then better find our DeFi chain topics on YouTube. And before we start, I would first like to welcome my two guests for today. Not three, one is missing. We have U-Zyn and Prasanna here presenting now something from the development side. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, DZ. Thanks for having us again. Happy to share what the team has been working on for the last month or so. A lot of exciting things happening in the DeFi chain space as always. And after yesterday's USD talk, I think we're all really hyped up about what's coming up on DeFi chain. I feel really good about the whole progress and the whole future about DeFi chain now. Really excited. Thanks for having us.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just had the headlines before the show, so I have no clue what you're presenting. Please tell us a little bit what are the topics for today you have prepared.
So for me, I'm going to be talking about the Uniswap liquidity mining program that was just went live a couple of days ago. I think get a lot of questions from the community about what that is about. So I will be talking a bit more about that and also do a quick demo about how you can do liquidity mining on Uniswap. And we'll also be talking a bit more on DeFi options. So the last talk we had Chi, the main developer and researcher on DeFi options, talking about it. I'm just going to be talking about it a bit more from the user point of view and what it means. And I also bring some DeFi Meta Chain updates as well on timelines and things. So that's on my side of things. And Prasanna, you want to give a teaser about what you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, thanks, Susan. Thanks, DZ, for having us. So the DeFi chain side, we'll touch on what are the things that happened in the last couple of weeks about what the releases actually had, a little bit into the behind the scenes on what they were about, and then we'll also touch a little bit on V3, basic timeline of that, and then what are the major things that we're looking at. Some of these things we have already covered, but the parts that we don't, especially the things that we talked about yesterday, what's relevant to that. So we'll just touch on that. That should be the main one.
Cool. So amazing things. I would suggest we start into the details. We switch to presentation mode. Who wants to start?
All right, I'm gonna go first. I'll go first. Raise my hand.
Are you sharing something?
I am. Do you see that?
Yeah. Just a second. It's not coming. It's just black.
Oh.
Your screen is just black in the preview.
Let me reshare. Let me stop and reshare.
Yeah, now it's coming.
Okay, cool. Great. Oops. Why is it me? I said the wrong one. I'm so sorry. Oops.
Today we have some technical issues, so it started and it proceeds in the same way. Cool. August.
Right. Now we got August. So yeah, I'm not just sharing the window because I'm going to do some demos. I'm sharing the whole screen. Yes. So yeah, August. It's August already. Some updates there. So today I'm going to be talking about three things: Uniswap liquidity mining program and rights, basically DeFi options, what it means from a user point of view, and DeFi Meta Chain, some updates there from what's coming up and all that. So yeah, let's start. So Uniswap liquidity mining. So I've been tweeting about it for the last couple of days about Uniswap liquidity mining. There are a lot of people that reach out to me asking what's all this about, why are we doing this, and what all this means for the DeFi chain community. So today I'm going to be talking a bit more about that. So yeah, this whole thing started from the CFP that I put up, basically to kind of like an attempt to reach out to the wider DeFi community to kind of like tell them about what there's this DeFi chain that you guys are missing out, this whole native side of things that you guys are missing out. So we're now getting into the kind of like the home base of DeFi in a way, because Ethereum is where most of the DeFi actions are. So we're trying to get over there, do bring liquidity mining program over there, bring the DFI U-Zyn token over there, and create some liquidity, create some hype over there. Hopefully, the community can also create some noise as well over there, because I think this is one of the opportunity for us to try to reach out to the DeFi side of things. Obviously, I think EVM and DMC is going to be huge as well, but this is before that, so let's try to make some noise as well over on the Ethereum side. So yeah, this was just launched a couple of days ago. The URL is now uniswap.defichain.com. I mean, there's some feedback from the community as well that the earlier URL is like looking a little bit scammy, like you're not sure if it's the real one or not. So talk to the team. We move it over to uniswap.defichain.com, so it's more clearer that it's the official one. I wouldn't say official one because it's a community project, but it's just like we borrowed that subdomain to do this, so you can know for sure that it's, that's a legit one. So looking at it right now, that's a screenshot I took just a couple of like hours before this talk. I think the APR has gone down now a little bit, so this is the live one. We have 3 pools that are running. I'm going to show the live one later. So we have 3 pools that are running. DFI USDT 60% at this point in time. I think now it's lower now. DFI USDC 38 and DFI ETH 45% APR. If you do staking on these DEX pools on Uniswap. And this just to be reminded that this is only 1% from the actual reward that's going to kick in on August 22nd. So August 22nd, you can do the math. Just multiply by 100. We're looking at 5,900 and 3,800 and 4,500. If the liquidity doesn't increase by then, I'm pretty sure it will increase. If it stays the same, then we're looking at more than 1,000% on APR on August 22nd. So that on that side, the wider so on Uniswap, the pool is not new. There has been some action going around on the Uniswap side for a while now, but there's no reward beyond the commission. So this is the first time that there is an additional reward that's given out on top of the commission for providing liquidity on Uniswap. So if you look at the live one here, you can go to v2.info.uniswap.org and try to search for DFI token. There's this icon because I mean Uniswap stopped updating icons for a while now. So unfortunately, it's showing us this icon, but you should be able to get the official token address, which has been around for more than a year now, from the blog or from DeFiChain.com, and you can enter the token address. You can get to this page, so you can see there are three pairs that are at Uniswap right now, the 3 that I mentioned, and you can see liquidity as well. So we have over $2.5 million worth of liquidity over at Uniswap right now. The key thing is that now the advantage of DeFiChain is going to be really, really obvious, because if you provide liquidity directly on Uniswap, you're not going to be getting the liquidity mining reward, because the Uniswap contract is not able to pay out any rewards. So for you to get the rewards, you have to stake on uniswap.defichain.com to be eligible for liquidity mining reward. So even though you see that on the live one, you can see such a high liquidity over here, if the provider doesn't move it over to the liquidity mining program side, the provider here is only going to be getting the commission and not the liquidity mining reward. So it's going to be missing out a lot of that reward. So so if you want to join this program, you should be joining it through this uniswap.defichain.com and add your. I'm just going to connect so that we can see how it works. Get my password. Oops. Yeah. So if you open up, you can actually add liquidity over here, and you can see how much the APR and how you can add. So we're at 33, 34, 33, and 25 for ETH one. So I added some ETH over here. So yeah, you can just add and specify how much you want to add, and let's say 2, and then it will calculate the other side, and you can just supply it, and you can just sign it with the MetaMask wallet, and you'll then be adding liquidity. So the key difference when you do liquidity mining on Uniswap versus doing it on DeFi chain is that we're so used to rewards appearing on our wallet automatically without having to do anything. But on EVM side, that's not possible. Like, you don't have that automation flexibility on EVM side. You have to do everything. You have to always put in a transaction to do something. So for this, you can see that I put in for a while now. I only put in like 2 DFI, so I've lost like a tiny bit due to impermanent loss, I guess. Yeah, so now I accrued some DFI that I could claim. So I actually have to submit a transaction to claim that reward because I don't get that payout automatically. So I need to click claim, and I need to claim my reward from there. And and I actually need to pay some gas to claim the reward. So I'm claiming for like 0.01 DFI, and I had to pay like $4 here. So so now you know the advantage of DeFi chain. So if you are to join this program, just you may not want to claim all the time. You may want to claim when the amount is larger than the gas that you have to pay. So now you know the advantage of DeFi chain, where everything is native. You don't have to do any of that because the rewards go to your wallet and you just have to spend it. But yeah, so do join the program, and the timeline is on 22nd August is where, just like the usual launch on DeFi chain, we have the 1% trial for before it goes live fully, so that people can get ready on the ERC20 token and can test it out and make sure everything's working fine. And on Monday is where the real launch occurs, and we're looking at 100x return from the current reward. And this program is going to run for 1 year, according to the CFP. So there's a calculation that's already being done. If we have like 5 million liquidity total, we're looking at 43% on the first week. If we have less, then we're probably looking at hundreds and thousands of APR on the first week, and it reduces by 4% every week. So this program will run for a year. So do get ready your ERC20 DFI. And there's a lot of exchanges now that list ERC20 DFI. So if you don't know where to get ERC20 DFI, you can go to DeFiChain.com, and you can find out where you can get the ERC20 token. So the contract address you can get from here, the official one. So don't get scammed with other DFI token, because on Ethereum, anyone can create any token. So you want to use only the official one. And you can see the exchanges. Some of them are already supporting the ERC20 version. There's a page somewhere that lists that. Probably ecosystem.
I think it was there in the ERC20 about learn more or something like that here.
Right. Okay. This one. Yeah, I mean, there are some exchanges that are supporting ERC20 tokens now. So find out where you can get ERC20 tokens, and you can start staking. And a lot of the exchanges as well, KuCoin and KickDeFi provides the way for you to deposit native side and get ERC20, and then vice versa. You can also deposit ERC20 and get a native side. So it's all interchangeable.
Okay.
Yes.
What I have learned now is we have to use this website. It's not going on the original Uniswap pool, because then your address is not tracked and you will not get the rewards, the distributed ones.
Yes.
You have to use this.
You have to use uniswap.defichain.com. Yes. If you go to like Uniswap and you try to add it yourself, you will be able to add to the pool, but you will be missing out on the reward payout.
Yeah, because then your code or algorithm will miss the address and you are not part of the program, something like that.
Correct. Yeah, you cannot claim.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, and for all of us here, let's try to reach out to the wider DeFi community, because this is the first time I think when we talk to a lot of people outside of DeFiChain community, they're always like, oh, how do I get a DeFi token? Oh, it's not ERC20. What do I do there? And there's always a a barrier there. So for now, for the first time, they can do it directly on Uniswap, and we hope that this will get people to know more about DeFi chain and also to feel comfortable about DeFi chain. And from there, the website will be updated a bit more as well over time to also include some education about the native side of things, so that people that come on that website will learn more about the native side and about DeFi chain, and hopefully we will bring more discovery over to the native DeFi chain side, and then hopefully they'll get hooked. Yes. So moving on to the next one. If you have any questions, please do list it in the comment or in the chat, and we will bring up any questions about anything that I'm talking about here. So so please do join the Uniswap program. I think it's going to be a pretty good return. If you miss like hundreds of % of returns on DEX, it's you can feel that rush again to do that hundreds of % return on APY on the Uniswap side again. So moving on, DeFi options. So there has been some blog posts talking about DeFi options as well. It's in the pink paper that DeFi chain is going to have the DeFi options eventually. So the team has been investigating about how to do DeFi options in a way that is really revolutionary. I would call it that because we haven't seen any similar or even any options that are close to what we have today. It's called rights, just the experimental term right now, but eventually it will be moved over to the DeFi chain side, and then it will be available as the DeFi options platform. I think just to take a step back a little bit, I think DeFi chain, when we first started, a lot of things we were taking what we have, what we see on the DeFi side, and then we move it over to the native side, to the Bitcoin consensus, to the consensus level, and solidify things. For example, the tokenization, even though it's new that we're doing on the native side, but we're taking what's available out there on the DeFi side and solidify on the consensus side on DeFi chain itself. And then the next thing we did was the DEX, where we took like Uniswap and move it over to the native side, and therefore we have the DEX. And then the cool thing that happens after that, I think we're pushing a lot on the boundary here. For example, the tokenization on D stocks, I think we're taking some of the good parts about let's say Maker, and some of the good parts about stablecoin, and putting it onto DeFi chain. And with DUSD as well, I think we're really pushing the boundary here on how to do an algorithmic plus crypto-backed stablecoin. If you haven't listened to yesterday's Trader Space, please do listen. It was a really, really good one, and there's some price prediction as well on what's going to be on the DFI side. It sounds really exciting, and I do see the logic behind that price, even though it's not a financial advice, but I do see, if it works out as intended, I do see the possibility of DFI hitting $2 to $4 in about in just a couple of weeks. So we're again with this DeFi chain options, we are again pushing the boundary here on what on-chain option could do. So I'm going to go through some of the key features here. It's not launched yet. I'm just going to go through it briefly, and also talk about the timeline as well. So the name is called Right. So if you see Right, it's a prototype that's built on EVM that will eventually be used as a candidate for DeFi chain if the community thinks that there's a great option and for us to do that. So it's more like a prototype right now. And it features, the cool thing about Rights that's different from the other DeFi options out there is that it features liquidity mining that we all love. That's what really brings DeFi out. I mean, DEX has been around for a long time, but the emergence of Uniswap is what really changes the whole pictures of DEX, because you don't need to have order book. You just have to provide liquidity, and it becomes really exciting and really fast, and you don't have to like match orders all the time. And rights take that same principle about creating something that's fun to use and that's fast, and you don't have to try to like create some order and try to match on the other side. You take all this concept and put it together into something that's really fun on the option side, and we're going to bring it over to DeFi chain. And rights, one of the key thing as well for option is that if you understand how option works, if you provide like a strike price or the expiry and the different pairs and all that, it creates a lot of different markets, and a lot of these markets are really small on chain. So if you compare to other alternatives or on chain options, the markets are really thin. That's why it's not being used much, because if you want to buy, let's say, an option on Ethereum right now, you have Hedgic and you have Open. The market is really thin because there's not much action going on, because all the liquidity pool are being sliced really thinly across all the different strike prices and all the different expiries, and a lot of them end up not the orders not being matched because they're just so tiny. So rights aim to change all of that by having a combined liquidity pool. I'm going to talk a bit about what it is. So there's this technical blog post that was put up by the research team that put this up. I'm not gonna go through everything. Just wanna briefly scroll through some of the key things on this one. So yeah, so just like I talked about on the current Ethereum side, we have Open and Hedgic, but they are really limited because the pools are sliced really thinly across different options. And for Hedgic, you can only buy at the money option, and you cannot buy out of money or in the money option. So it makes it very limited on what you can do with it. So it's very inflexible on what you can use it for. So rights or DeFi options that we're going to have is aims to change all of that. It aims to bring the fluidity of like DEX, of AMM DEX over the option sides, and make it just like you can buy any options off of a joint pool, and you have a shared liquidity pool. So if anyone wants to provide liquidity on this pool on the option side, you don't have to specify, oh, I want to provide only for the strike price, I want to only provide for this this expiry date, because that creates a really sparse pool that you can buy from. Yeah, and also like this option allows you to resell, because a lot of time when you buy an option, you do not want to wait until it expires before you can exercise it, because if you want to gain instant liquidity about the option that you can exercise, you can there's a secondary market that you can resell that. So this rise allows you to do that. So if you buy an option, you can have the option is transferable. So someone can create with the DeFi Meta Chain, for example, someone can create a secondary market for you to resell option that you already purchased on DeFi options, and then you can resell it on the secondary market on a different price. So you can always transfer that. So that's going to be really cool on the option side. And if you so the problem about having a shared liquidity pool is that how do you then price an option? Traditionally, for other options, you have to there's an order book that you match. So someone will have to put in a bid, someone have to put in an ask, and then it will match. But if you do an automated one, the key problem is how do you price an option for someone to buy? So the usual way is you use a Black-Scholes model. Black-Scholes model allows you to price. It's not an accurate pricing, but it's just a model for you to kind of like price an option. So if someone trades option, you usually will be using this to determine if an option is a good buy or is it not a good buy, or a good sell, not a good sell. So so the key goal about the DeFi option is to try to mimic Black-Scholes models as much as possible. So there are a lot more things going on here, but I'm not going to go through the details. But the key thing is that if you use this Black-Scholes model, there are a couple of things that are that that has to be come in from the outside. For example, like implied volatility, you don't have that on chain, and you that's actually very opinionated as well. So you can't really value that on chain. So how do we do this DeFi options easily on chain is by having some sort of a simplified Black-Scholes model, basically having two key things that changes. So generally we try to keep it to Black-Scholes model, but we want to allow a shared pool for someone to buy from. So the model will determine the price, but if the price is so bad, you're gonna get people buying it over and over and over again until the liquidity pool dries up, because if the model is not correct, or if it's wrong, you're gonna get people are just gonna exploit it. So from there, if there's more buying demand, the price should shoot up. Um, so the way that this model works, the automated pricing, is that if there's more demand, the price would shoot up. And also, if the price is so high and then if there's no and the demand dries up, how do we bring the price down again? So the price, because you can't sell against it, like for a spot exchange, there's always a buy and there's always a sell that could push the price in different directions. But for DeFi options, the maybe I should present the next slide first so we can get a clear idea. So I'm going to get back to that again. So there are two roles for an option. So the seller of an option is also known as a writer of an option. It's where you will lock up part of your fund. We're not talking about liquidity mining. We're talking about someone that sells an option. You lock up your fund to guarantee the option buyer, like if the option buyer exercises against you, you have the money to pay up. But in exchange for the locked fund, you gain the price that the option buyer will pay you, also known as a premium. So on the same principle here, if you join DeFi options, you can participate in liquidity mining and get DeFi payout. So that's the part where it's already in the pink paper for the option incentive that's currently being burned today. So with this being introduced on DeFiChain side, this reward will be then be reintroduced. It will not be burned to incentivize DeFi holders from to provide liquidity on this options pool. And if someone buys against this pool, the buyer will have to pay a premium. So if you provide liquidity here, you're gonna get access to the premium immediately. But the downside to doing this liquidity mining is that because premium expires ahead in the future, so when you want to withdraw your fund, you need to wait until it expires before you can withdraw that. So in order to make sure that it's not like forever, the longest time that you can buy on this current version is 30 days. So the actual one, I think we'll have to put up a DFib and see what the community thinks. What's a good one? It definitely should not be too long. Definitely should not be too short. Also, because if you do liquidity mining on options, you are providing guarantee to the option holder if it exercises against you that you have to pay up. So this pool will handle everything. So if someone claims like $10 from the pool and the pool has $1,000, you're only going to be losing a fraction of the locked up fund that you provide. And on the buyer side, you can purchase against that combined liquidity pool, so you don't have to look for counterparty, because this liquidity pool that provides liquidity for all the options that you can think of. I'm gonna show a quick early preview about that later, so you can see. And you don't have to look for counterparty like other protocols today. You always have to say, I'm gonna bid for this price. I'm gonna wait for it. I'm gonna ask for this price. You're gonna wait for another person to bid for the price and match. So with this automated one, you don't have to. It's just like DEX, just like AMM. Everything just works automatically, and it allows the buyer, just like DEX as well. Like there's a lot of trading actions on the DEX today, because there's so many bots that are running on our DEX today that they are arbitraging against the other market, on-chain and off-chain, on the DEX as well. So option market, there's also on-chain and other off-chain market. So people will arbitrage against that. So So it allows the buyer to arbitrage against other options market, but only up to a certain limit, because the more they buy, they're going to push up the price until it becomes less attractive, and then it will wait for it to come down again over time. And the buyer will have to pay a premium for buying the option, so the premium will be paid in DFI, and that DFI will goes to the liquidity miner or the option writers. And if it expires and expires in the money, the option will be exercised. So on the DeFi side, it will be automatically exercised, but on the EVM side, again, there's no automation. So you do have to exercise it yourself to claim against the pool, so you get your fund back. So it's a European style option. It's not like it's not the American style where. So European style means that you can only exercise it at the point of expiry. American style, you can exercise it anytime, as long as your option is in the money. So back to here again. So if you're the buyer, so you are able to put in any price and any expiry date, and like no longer than 30 days in the future to buy an option. So why would you buy the option? There's so many reasons. So you want to hedge against certain things, you want to get a guarantee, and you want to predict the future prices. So many different strategy and options. So they will make DeFi chain even more exciting with all these stocks. I think it's going to be really, really cool, really, really fun. I'm going to do a quick early preview. It's not a working demo, but I'm just going to do a quick one. Let me try to see that. Just so that you can get an idea about how this whole thing is going to work. Okay, I hope you can see everything. Okay, here we go. So this is the website. You can already see it on rights.finance. This is coming soon, but this is a prototype, like a design prototype that there's an app. There's an app version here. So I'm going to click on the app. You can see even the text is not there yet. So the option you can buy call or put option, and you can name the price of the strike. And this is just for easier use that it's done in this fashion, but in actual form you can actually name any price you want, and you can just basically name the price for the strike. And expiry, you can also set how long you want, the maximum of 30 days, because the liquidity miner has to be able to get out. So they have to wait 30 days before they can get out. So it's a long time. Maybe on DeFiChain side, we might just want to do it for 14 days. I don't know. We will leave it to the community side, or we leave it 30 days because or I create multiple liquidity pool. I don't know yet. I mean, just all the different ideas here. That's why we're doing it on EVM right now, just experimental before we put it on the native chain entirely, because this is something that's so new that there's not a single model that we can copy from the EVM side that we could bring across today. So, and then you can enter the amount that you want to buy the option for, and and then you can just they'll tell you the premium that you have to pay, and once you agree with that, then you can just submit on chain, and you get the option. And on the liquidity side, there should not be a pool type, so there will be DeFi asset. Okay, DeFi asset is basically to provide liquidity against a call option buyer. Let's say for DeFi USDT pool, for DeFi USDT option. So you can provide liquidity on DeFi side. You don't really have to care what is it called, is it put. You're just providing liquidity, and you're gonna be able to know the APR for the reward, and you'll also be getting a premium as well. If someone buys when you are staking, when you are liquidity mining, if someone buys against that pool, you're gonna get the premium, and premium will be accessible immediately, and the reward will also be accessible immediately. But the amount that you lock up, it's gonna take 30 days for you to get out. And so on the other side, so you can provide liquidity on USDT as well. So this is a demo on this. And the positions, so if you buy an option, you can see if you're in the money or you. So this is like you lose the premium because it doesn't end in the money. So you have to pay the premium. I mean, you already pay the premium when you get the option. So it just ends unable to be exercised because it's out of the money. If it's in the money, you can exercise. You can claim the cash payout for the option that you end up in the money. And if you provide liquidity, you can see that if you want to unlock, you have to wait for a period of time before you can fully withdraw all your fund. And also, just like DEX, you will be subjected to, on DEX we call it impermanent loss, but for option, you will be subjected to some loss because some option buyer may end up in the money and they have to claim against you, so you may end up with some loss. But through simulation, we think that the reward will be higher than the loss that you might get because of the model doesn't allow too much arbitrage, only allow for some arbitrage to happen. So yeah, you might lose some unless it's an extreme market swing that you might lose more of your stake. But just like DEX, right? Just like impermanent loss, nothing comes for free. So you are providing your liquidity here in exchange for the reward, and you are subjecting your liquidity to provide claims against option buyer that ends up in the money. So I hope that explains what it's all about. And yep, and I hope you guys are excited about that. We're gonna run it for 3 months on the Ethereum side. Yeah, after that we will get feedback and bug fixes and improvements, and we will then recommend it for adoption into native DeFi side or DeFi Meta Chain. Let's see on how the workload will be, but it will be part of DeFiChain eventually. And the DeFi rewards are already pre-allocated in DFIP. So all of this, I mean, I'm just talking about all this, but it will all be in the DFIP again before any decisions are made. So I can't make all this decision. I'm just picking up some recommendations and some ideas about this trial run for 3 months, and after that, what happens. Yep, that's all the DeFi option side. If there's any questions,
maybe one at the very early beginning question. Yeah, why is this option optional? Means it was on the roadmap. Why should masternodes vote on the implementation on the native D side?
Sure, I agree. That's why the team is working on. I think there are other things to vote on. For example, like should it be like 30 days, should it be 15 days, or should it be 14 days? I think those are the things that maybe we discuss. I don't know yet, but when we all know for sure that it's going to get onto DeFiChain side, and we know for sure that the rewards are already pre-allocated and it's already being burned today. But on the actual details, I think we have to put up a DFID so everyone gets have a say on the decisions before it gets on chain.
Okay, we will have a look. Maybe just a comment, and yeah, I think a lot of work must be done before to educate the community and the people. It's really new, fancy stuff, and if you have never heard about option trading, you have to do some homework to learn how it should work. I have a rough idea now after your presentation, but yeah, also on my side, I have to learn how it will then work. We will share the link later on this rights, so there's all the information we have and can have a look on.
Remember, just like less than 2 years back when we did the DEX, like a lot of people was like, wow, DEX is so complex. What's this yield mining on DEX all about? But now all of us understand DEX like the back of our hand. Like we just know on top of our head how everything works. And with these stocks as well, like when we first started, like what is this loan thing? I don't get how it works. But now all of us understand it's like nothing. I'm pretty sure in no time, all of us here will really understand DeFi options really, really well, and we can also help to educate other people as well about DeFi options.
Cool. That's all regarding the options trading. There was one question we shifted to the end, a general one. Then go ahead with the DeFi Meta Chain.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, DeFi Meta Chain. I wish I have more technical updates there, but I'm gonna leave a lot of technical updates to the next one because it's gonna take a while to go through everything. So maybe the next one, Tech-Talk, we're gonna really dedicate to DeFi Meta Chain. A lot of work has been done. So this is just a recap for those of you who are new to DeFi Meta Chain, just a recap on what it's all about. It's basically to bring EVM as a layer 2 to native DeFi chain side to allow community and all of us to write smart contracts, to interact with D stocks, to interact with D tokens, to interact with DFI, and do a lot of amazing things on DeFi chain. I think it's going to open up so many doors and so many cool stuff that's going to happen. So yeah, just to recap, native DeFi side, we're doing POS plus W with the masternodes and DeFi Meta Chain. There's no new mining. Every block on DeFi Meta Chain side is anchored to the native side, so it's like a parallel side-by-side chain with the native side. So there's no separation there, and everything's still going to be really close together. And native side is still going to be there. It's still the key thing that the key USP for DeFi chain. And Quantum token can go across both chains in a very simple manner. So there's no all the D stocks and all the D tokens and all the DUSD can happen in both sides, and which also means that USD can now has a possibility to be bridged to other EVM blockchains as well, to have even a greater impact on the whole DeFi ecosystem. So these are all I've shared before in the last one, just a recap. And the key thing I want to share is basically the roadmap and progress. There's a lot of work that's already been done in this space. It's getting clearer now about when it's going to happen. And in September, there will be a website and a white paper that's been published. I know we're really late now about in a late stage now about DMC, but I think a white paper is still going to be really helpful to explain to a lot of new people that just stumble upon DeFi chain, to stumble upon DMC, to learn what all this is about and why are we doing this, and why are we doing the native side plus the meta side. And there will be a promotional video for DeFi Meta Chain. The marketing team is kind of planned for that. I kind of like know roughly the storyboard. I think it's quite cool, just to explain how it comes from native side, and now we've matured enough to get into the EVM side as well. And I think that the timeline here is very conservative. We might be able to do it a little bit earlier, just to it's going to happen this year for sure. So there will be a testnet launch, and followed by a mainnet if testnet are successful. And there will be an Explorer launch alongside with mainnet. So it's actually happening at the same time. So you don't have to work blind without an Explorer. And the cool thing, there's also a hackathon that's being planned right now. I think there will be a CFP that's being submitted soon to organize a hackathon. The cool thing about that is we want to try to encourage a lot of people to build things around the DMC side, and hopefully we'll also get one of the bigger projects as well to port over to the DMC side to run on DeFi chain side. This is roughly the high level timeline, and it's a very conservative timeline. We might be able to hit it earlier. I mean, there's no promise, but it's definitely going to happen this year. The team is working super hard on that. If you want to follow on the progress, go check out the GitHub repo. You can see the progress that's happening right now, and participate in the discussion as well. Participate in the reviewing the code. As always, like all that's very important to make sure that the code is safe and everything. The team is. I think a lot of ideas are being put in a document, so you can also see a lot of documentation there as well on the technical implementation and how all this is going to work. So there's a lot of technical details that's happening on that side. Again, I'm not gonna go into too deep on technical details today because it's gonna take a long time. We're gonna have the next show on Tech-Talk. We will have the team talk about way more details on there. And this is tease on probably the video direction on how it gets into DeFi Meta Chain. So for those of you who are technical, to follow the progress on GitHub. So a lot of things already being done there. The team will share more details in the next one. So exciting times ahead.
Cool. Thanks for the presentation. A lot of things are happening. And we should look forward to it. I'm looking forward to the next Tech Talk and the DeFi Meta Chain. More details will be really interesting. But we have another topic left. There was no question regarding this. Now we switch over to more the present, not the future. Prasanna, do you want to share? Or should U-Zyn try? You have some technical issues. Hopefully you will stay.
Yes, sorry about that. I think I have some difficulty presenting. So if
Okay, I'm going to share that.
Link. Yeah, somebody can present.
Okay, give me a moment. Share. All right, here we go. Can you see anything? Yep. Okay, there we go.
Need some time.
Okay. All right, there we are. Thanks, U-Zyn. Okay, so DeFi chain, let's go over into updates. So next slide, we'll just start with, okay, what was in the last couple of updates that we saw, which was mainly 2.9.3, but 9.3 had a minor CPU usage regression, so we released 2.9.4, which fixed that. So basically, one of the key things that 2.9.3 resolves is, while syncing the chain in the past, I think the pasted some of the common errors, but these are things that I think a lot of people have run into. And in the last couple of months, the frequency of that was increasing over and over again. And so vaguely on the lines of level DB error or IO errors, and then the chain would crash. The node would crash, and then you will have to restart it. Sometimes it'll end up in data corruption and whatnot. So this is one of the key things that we've been focusing on. And this is not just to DeFi chain. This is something that Bitcoin faced in the past as well. And a lot of it was attributed to how level DB was actually being used. And so now this is completely fixed now in 2.9.3. So the chain, the node should be expected to be stable, and these things should not happen. So if at all you end up seeing any of these, please report it. But we have good confidence that the node should start syncing now, and then after 2.9.4, it should sync all the way to the tip, and you should not experience crashes. The team has been really working hard on that. So in the next slide, we'll just see what some of the basic things that's there. Okay, so behind the scenes, what actually was it? Was the errors were caused by invalid sockets that were actually being closed in the SPV code. So for context, in DeFi chain, the SPV code is based off an external library that is Bread Wallet that was integrated very early on. And it turns out that Bread Wallet code had this memory issue as well. So this is something that we fixed here, and we are also upstreaming the fix into the Bread Wallet code. And so once that was fixed, basically what was happening was it was going ahead and closing random file descriptors, which were already closed. And so that's why level DB was trying to read a database, and those file descriptors were actually closed instead. And it took a little bit of, quite a bit of debugging, thanks to Peter, who's one of the core developers who dug into that and actually found that. And then another thing that 2.9.3 included is there's a concept called mocknet now. That is primarily used to test. This is something that we've been internally using to test in the last couple of versions, but now it's been mainlined, and the code is already there. You can activate it with a simple mocknet flag. There are a bunch of other parameters as well. But one of the key things is today we have testnet, which is great for everybody to test and then keep without any actual consequences. But there are scenarios where you actually need the mainnet data that it's actually holding. So for instance, stock split is a great example. If you look at it on testnet, it would be really quick. But then on mainnet, it takes a significant amount of time because it has to migrate over all of this data. So mocknet, basically what it does is it creates a fork off the tip of the chain, but that's completely incompatible with the current mainnet. And this is also something where it also introduces a fake masternode. So the masternode will keep on mining really fast, and you can start it, stop it. You can produce your own masternode as well. But based on the existing mainnet data, you've now forked off a completely fake network, which you can use to test it. And so that's MockNet. Again, this is something that's critical for us when it comes to, I'll touch a little bit later on how we're doing some of the testing. So just wanted to mention that. And then along with these, we've also fixed a bunch of SPV memory leaks. So if you've been having some memory that has been continuously expanding, again, SPV is the cost of that. That's another thing that we fixed as well. So basic focus has been quite high on stability on this one. And then beyond that, there's been more of C++ code modernization for people who are interested in the technicals. Okay, so now that 2.9.3 is over, let's move on to, if you can move on to the next slide. What is next, which is V3. So the expected timeline is node release towards the end of this month. Hopefully a little, perhaps sometime in the last week of August. So that's what we are targeting at the moment. And then hard fork in about 10 days to 2 weeks from that time frame. Should be early to mid-September. Now, coming to what's actually going to be there in V3. If you could go to the next slide. Thank you. So the key features. So one is going to be negative interest rate, which has been talked about on Stereo space as well quite deeply. And then the in-consensus management of some of the DFIPs for which Ticker Council has been managing so far. We already have the capabilities, but we didn't have the capability to do it in consensus. So all that automation is now going to be a part of V3. And then the next major key feature is on-chain governance, which we've already gone in detail. So I won't touch much more on-chain governance, but yeah, can we go to the next slide? Okay, so negative interest rates. What does this, how is it actually going to be implemented? So today, if you look at it on-chain, today we have loan scheme, which is 1 interest percentage, and then you have token interest rates. So there are 2 different interest rates. So loan scheme, the way it operates today is it's pretty much a static interest rate. So once a loan scheme is set, even if a loan scheme is updated on chain, an existing vault, the user's loan interest rate will not actually change until a user actually goes and acts on it in any way. It could be adding a collateral, it could be paying off the loan, it could be taking a new loan. When that happens, the loan scheme will update itself. This is done so that there's no surprises. Somebody just takes a loan and then suddenly it doesn't get updated in the background, and then you don't end up accumulating a huge amount of interest. So that's the way loan scheme currently operates. So we'll keep it exactly the same way. Token rate interest is something, this is the one that's going to be more of the dynamic economy. So whenever a token interest rate is updated, then all the vaults and every interest rate of that particular token is going to be updated. Now, this is also important in terms of negative interest rate, because if we don't update it, don't actually migrate everything, then negative interest rates, the way it'll apply, it will not make a lot of sense. So until a user actually acts on it, then the negative interest rates will not apply. So whenever a negative interest rate is applied, how will it now affect the vaults? If a vault has existing loans, or existing principal or interest amounts, when they have any of that, then the negative interest rate will actually keep going back and reducing them. But if the total amount of loans is less than or equal to 0, then it's pretty much equivalent to 0. So it's the same as you not having any loan and then not having any interest rate at all. So that's how negative interest rates are going to work. So I think this is the way that it's expected, and then it's fair. So people who have loans, who have been a part of this ecosystem, will end up benefiting a lot more from the negative interest rates. Okay, next slide. And so now, just touching over some of the other expected features, on-chain governance, we've already gone into detail. If you can go to the next slide, just have the quick, the one that I presented last time. U-Zyn, could we move to the next slide? Okay, so this is the on-chain governance, a basic layout that we discussed last time. So I won't go into detail, but basically what we will not enable on mainnet is going to be the payment to the payout address. So the payout is something that now can be controlled on chain, and then that'll be disabled so that we can have the overall process, but still not graduate into that payout yet. That's the final step. So we'll do the payout after V3 manually as we do today, but everything else is something that we'll completely move. We'll have the capability fully built in on chain for V3. So can we go back to the previous slide? In the previous slide, basically, the next one is consortium, basic foundations of consortium. That's another one that's expected. And then masternode operator update, which has been there for quite a while, but it's still in testing. So I do not know if the team will actually get enough time to be able to test that, because we have ended up fitting in negative interest rates and the automation of DFIPs. So if you're not able to test that, then it may get pushed further. But with the community, we'd really appreciate it if you can also, the PR is there, it's ready. The tests are also there. If you can take it and then increase the confidence of that, that'd be super helpful. Okay, so that's basically what's going to be in V3, and then we can move to the next slide and the next slide. 2 more slides. The next one. Okay. Just want to really quickly touch on other efforts that are going on. I won't go into this in detail at the moment, but one of the things that teams have internally been using to automate, to actually test each of the PR and how it maintains backward compatibility, whether it creates a fork. So this is something that we've been doing internally for the last couple of months. So we are now open sourcing that, and then we are automating the CI pipeline so that it can do that automatically on each of the major PRs that is being introduced by anyone. So what it basically does is, today full sync, it takes about 2 to 3 days to complete. So every PR, you can't actually wait for that feedback to even know that does it affect anything in the past, in which case, you need to modify it. So what we do is we have split everything parallelly. So let's say 50K blocks, and then we have n number of VMs or n number of containers that are running in parallel, and then they will all try to sync a certain amount of blocks, assuming everything else is right. And if any of them goes wrong, then basically, the whole thing is errored in some way. So we split it parallelly, and then we run all of these sync tests so that this whole 2 to 3 day process is now compressed in just under 2 hours. Something we can still tweak. We can even get it done faster if there's an absolute need. But that's part of the automation pipeline that I've been working on, and all of that is going to be open sourced and then become a part of the CI. That's one aspect, and then other bit is there's also going to be a bit of Rust. This V3 is going to be the first release with a little bit of Rust code actually mainlined. I know we're running out of time, so I'll just really quickly touch on it. So after V3, compilation steps are going to require Rust as well going forward. The main thing that's being implemented in Rust is the automation of the DFIPs. So they are very tiny units of code, but the larger focus is on the overall build toolchain and then integrating Rust into it. So the PR is there, and then there is the library that is being pulled by the node, which is the libane RS. Very, very early of previews to come, but a small module from there is what will be imported into the mainline code, and that's open source as well. And then there's also a gRPC module. This gRPC, there's a lot of experiments in that library, but not all of them will be used. But the idea is slowly, we will start moving a lot more of these into the mainline code. Okay, can we go to the next slide? And then last bit of another smaller effort, but it's going to be a significant impact, is thanks to the technical committee member, Daniel Kagara. I pointed out and did the initial work on the looking at the upstream code for Bitcoin, which has a lot more optimizations in terms of pre-computed tables and a bunch of caching as well on the elliptic curve library that's being used. And this significantly improves the overall syncing performance. We don't have precise numbers yet, but it's somewhere on the lines of around 20% improvement is something that we are seeing overall so far. But that's something that we are still testing, and we expect that this is going to be a part of V3 as well. So stability and then a little bit of performance as well. So I think V3 is going to be a pretty good one. Thanks again to Daniel for doing the initial work and profiling all of that. Yeah, that's basically all the updates. And yeah, thank you to all of those who help and test. That's the most important thing. We can't have enough, so please do help there as much as you can. All right, I just touched on everything quickly. If there's any questions, happy to take them.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, a big update. I think the version 3, a lot of things changed. May I ask, we can also switch back. One topic from yesterday's Twitter space regarding this distribution of the DEX fee. Any ideas when this could came with which update?
So this is not something that we're planning for V3 because distribution of the DEX fee is something that's going to be quite involved in terms of the tech. So if we combine that, I think that'll push it quite significantly. Right now, the automation that we are looking for is the previous ones that have already been passed. And anything that's yet to come, I don't think will make it for V3. I think it makes more sense for us to just get this out there so we have all the tools that are there to accomplish it and then go to the next one.
Okay, good. I think that's all regarding general questions to the node. Then we had one or two general ones I want to show. One was if we should not move the bug bounty program to Heads Finance to reach more security experts. U-Zyn, any plans, any ideas?
I don't have an answer to that. If you think that makes sense, I think we can ask for a CFP and then start a program with Heads Finance. Yeah, I don't have a right or wrong answer to if it works. So the more people that test the code, the more people that look into it, it builds up the confidence that our code is safe. So yeah, I'm open for that.
Okay. And another question was here. There's really much in the pipeline. Are the team thinking about RWA? Is this a strong use case for DeFi Meta Chain? I don't know what RWA is. Do you know it? Any ideas?
I don't know either. Risk-weighted asset. I'm not sure, but even if it's a risk-weighted asset, I'm not sure how that applies to this. Maybe you don't have to supply the whole 100% of the backing when you provide options, so that you can only supply the amount that could be claimed. I don't know if, even if that's the right one, but the general answer is that the fact that I don't know, also the fact that it's not in the pink paper right now, so we're not aware of that. So if you think it makes sense, please do create a Reddit post or create a PR to the pink paper, submit your opinion there, and we can all have an open discussion if it makes sense for us to have it on DeFi Chain.
Yeah, great idea. So if someone in the community has a good idea for DeFi Meta Chain or what can be a use case, make a Reddit post, share it with the community, and together we will find good use cases, I think, that can be implemented later on. Yeah, that's all from the chat I saw. One question you already answered, U-Zyn. I have to show it here about atomic swap. Everyone is still waiting out there, or a lot of people are waiting out there. What was your answer?
I answered in the chat that the atomic swap, I think it'll probably be great. Depends on the blockchain team to have it on testnet. So until we build up confidence on testnet that it's all safe again, and then we open up on mainnet again. So I think we can aim for having it on testnet, maybe on V3. Prasanna, would that be okay?
I don't know. Prasanna is frozen. Looks like he's gone again. A really big issue. Okay.
That should be fine.
Testnet
Yeah,
is the
because it's
goal,
only just
and
yeah,
then we
yeah.
will have a look. Another new question. Are you still monitoring the Bitcoin node for improvements? And secondly, will DeFiChain node mock to Rust completely move? I think it's a typo.
We do monitor Bitcoin improvement. I mean, Bitcoin is they move really, really slowly in a good way. That's why Bitcoin is so stable. Like if there have been some improvement on Bitcoin side that could potentially push it over to DeFiChain side, but I think we all have to test that as well. So we're like for now, I think we are progressing on things on DeFiChain side. But if you think there's some key improvement on Bitcoin side that you think can really benefit DeFiChain side, maybe open up a pull request on there, or even suggest in the Reddit thread. We will definitely look into that. On the second question, will DeFi node move to Rust completely? For DeFi Meta Chain side, it's going to be on Rust entirely. For native side, there are some new stuff that are built on Rust now. I mean, the question is always like, do we want to rewrite everything in Rust right now and not push out anything? I think we probably do not want to do that. So that's why the newer stuff are being written in Rust, because it adds a lot more safety to everything. And yeah, and on DeFi Meta Chain, it's completely in Rust.
Okay. Now the people come more and more questions, and I think you're very familiar with this question. Ledger integration. Still on the roadmap.
That would be cool. I hope that maybe someone can build it on the community side. I don't know. Like I think the development team that we have right now they're all pushing out so many things that we're building on, really, really packed right now. But if it's something that I really love to use as well. I have a ledger sitting in front of me right now. I would love to use it for DFI as well. So if someone can do that, that would be great. Or if we have more bandwidth on our side, then we will definitely look into that again.
Okay, so priority currently more low. We are pushing or working on other topics, but still in the mind of all of us, I think. Cool. That's all from the chat, what I see so far. Prasanna lost again in this show. We have some technical issues also before starting the show, but it worked. Yeah, I think you showed all the topics you wanted to show, and even Prasanna could explain what's coming up with the Node version 3. Thanks for joining, U-Zyn. A really great show. I like it.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to next one, DeFi Meta Chain Deep Insights. We should mark the calendars. Will be then end of September roundabout. And yeah, looking forward what's happening on DeFiChain, all the things coming. I'm very confident that we improve the complete system in a very good way.
Thanks. Thanks, Daniel, for hosting us. And I'm just glad that Prasanna were able to present his part throughout, because I would not be able to present his part. It was so technical. I'm just glad that you managed to do that. Thanks for hosting us, DZ. I'm a lot of things coming up. I'm really excited for the next one where we can talk a bit more technical details about DMC, and really looking forward to DMC and what it could bring.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks.
Then, thanks for watching out there. Have a great day. See you soon on this channel with DeFiChain topics. Have a great time.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.